Hello, everybody. This is Appa Brian and Appa Baseball Classics with Week 13 of our NFL picks. Joining me on this show will be Dan Mattingly, my son-in-law. Title for this week is The Battle for the Colonies. That's the Monday night game, New England at Buffalo. It's going to be the marquee game of the week. First game, oh, by the way, we have a bye week for 4 teams. 3 of them desperately need a bye week, and some of those might even still lose even though they're on a bye. Cleveland and Carolina. There's a quarterback controversy in Cleveland.
As there should be.
There should be. Case Keenum probably should be playing. And now you've got Hunt's dad. He's taken off from Beckham's father, I guess. He's on Twitter and social media talking about maybe Case Keenum should be the quarterback for Cleveland. Carolina needs to decide who their starting quarterback. You were right about Cam Newton. He's not very good between the 20s. He wasn't good between the goal lines last week. 90 yards passing, less than 50%, and 2 picks.
Yeah, you had the 164-yard play early, and that was about it for him.
Yeah, that was it. And then I've got my 1960. We're going to do retro helmets today. Most of the game.
That powder blue.
The 1960 Houston Oilers, which of course are the Tennessee Titans now. And Tennessee needs a bye badly. Green Bay kind of needs a bye so they can do surgery on Aaron Rodgers' pinky, and he says he won't miss a game.
He's had an interesting year.
We are also usually joined on these pick shows by my son Justin, and he is not going to be able to be with us. He is a supervisor at UPS, and this time of year he is working extra shifts, so he emailed me his picks this week. All right, first game up is the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints.
Well, tough game to pick because it's in New Orleans, and the Saints are usually pretty tough in New Orleans. It's a great crowd. I think they're working out Taysom Hill with the ones. He may get the start over Simeon this week. And right now it's unknown if Kamara will go. That's the part about it that kind of gives me pause, but Dallas is getting back their leading rusher with pass rusher Lawrence this week. He's a go, and it looks like a good week to pick Dallas to take it to the Saints. They may be able to turn that team over, especially if Hill's making his first start of the season.
This game is kind of a game that will tell you if it's better to have your players without the coaches there or the coaches there without the players.
I think they're better without McCarthy. McCarthy always looks like on the sideline, he's got this frozen expression of bewilderment. Yep. And I have no confidence.
Also, 5 of the assistants are out with COVID. And then the defensive lineman, was it Tyson Hill, punched a Raider after the game. So he's suspended for 2 weeks. There was a Cowboy that punched one of the Chiefs when he was down on the ground when we played. Was that the same guy?
Might have been.
I think it might have been.
I'd have to go look at the clips. But not a lot of discipline there.
Yeah, that's true. And, New Orleans might get some of their parts back. They've been missing about 9 starters. A few of them might be back this week. But I still think they're still trying to play with their JV. And they just haven't had the personnel to win games. I think Dallas takes this game. Next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, when you reminded me of the creamsicle uniforms, I kind of thought Tampa was going to lose. But I was then reminded that Tom Brady does play for the Bucs now. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta, they continue to be a weird team. I don't expect them to win against the Bucs. I think the Bucs just have too much firepower, and they should be able to slow them down enough in the passing game. Not a ton of weapons for Matt Ryan. He's trying to get the ball to Pitts, who looks like a really good player when they can scheme it up for him, but defenses are able to focus on him, and they don't have much of a run game, in my opinion, in Atlanta. So I've got the Bucs.
I think this could be an entertaining game. Atlanta has Cordell Patterson back, and he ran for 16 for 108 yards last week. He's just like Deebo Samuel's running the ball for San Francisco. But their pass defense is 31st, and they're going to try to stop Tom Brady. And
that's going to be a tough task.
No, not going to happen. Arizona Cardinals at the Chicago Bears.
So they're kind of saying, from what I've read, and maybe you've read differently, that Kyler should be back this week. I think the Bears are a pretty tough pick after watching the last few of their games. They don't look to have a ton of defense. They're okay there. That offense, not a lot to speak of. Even with David Montgomery back, he doesn't look like he's up to full speed as he was in the beginning of the year. And it's tough for me to pick Andy Dalton against a number 1 ranked team.
So you've got
Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals are 9-2, and they just quietly win week after week. Chicago's got Andy Dalton.
Only easy to pick teams.
Yeah, Arizona's going to beat Chicago. Chicago leads the NFL in sacks, so I'm thinking this might not be the best week to bring Kyler Murray back, but I'm sure if he's ready to play, he will be out there. I'm picking Arizona. And the next game is Los Angeles Chargers with the Dan Fouts helmet and the Cincinnati Bengals with the Ken Anderson helmet.
So, love the helmets. Don't like picking this game. These two teams, they're not good teams, but they're good enough teams to where they can have a week. They can play well. I really didn't, and I don't say this very often, but I really didn't like what I saw from Justin Herbert last week. He was trying to rifle the ball into every window, and he, if he'd thrown a couple more touch passes, I think they would have stayed in that game a little bit better. The Bengals have such a hit and miss defense. It's hard to pick them, but they do have the running back there is really going. He's playing excellent, and I just expect the Bengals to be a little bit better at home. Cold weather, West Coast LA team. I think the Bengals take it.
I'm also picking Cincinnati. Hebert has never learned to throw a touch pass. He still throws some of those short passes like he's going to drill somebody. And Cincinnati, boy, were they rejuvenated after their bye week, 31-3 at halftime over Pittsburgh. That was not a game at all. I asked Henderson to make a comeback last week, and he sure did. He had a really good game at defensive end for Cincinnati. I'm picking Cincinnati to beat the Chargers. I'm hoping Cincinnati beats the Chargers.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough one. Who knows with those teams?
Minnesota and Detroit.
Well, Minnesota burnt me last week, but I think as long as Kirk Cousins can line up behind the right person, Minnesota should beat a pretty bad Detroit team. They look pretty rudderless. I think there was like a double timeout last week. I didn't watch it very well, but I kind of saw where there were a couple really, really tough highlights for the Lions. I know Cook is out, but I do like their backup. He's not a bad fit. And then Jefferson and Thielen are excellent. So I'll take the Vikings.
Darrell Williams is the backup, isn't he? He used to play with the Chiefs.
They have two guys there. It's Williams and
somebody else.
But did you see the Cousins thing? Did you watch any of that game?
Oh, I did watch. Well, no, I watched the Detroit game. I didn't watch the Minnesota game.
Oh, the Minnesota game. So they really gave I mean, that Niners team is fine, but
Well, Cousins played out of his mind. He was
yeah.
making some great throws under pressure. Yeah.
No, he's had an excellent season. But toward the end of the game, he did line up behind his right guard, and they had to call timeout.
Yeah, heard about that. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
I think Minnesota's who I thought they were. Early in the year, I thought they were a good team, but not an elite team. And
Sure.
they've had some nice wins, but I think they're a good team and still not an elite team. Dalvin Cook is out. It's unfortunate what happened to Everson Griffin. He's in the mental hospital, and praying that he will get better and be able to return. Detroit just had a great effort on Thanksgiving, but they just don't have the horses. And yeah, Minnesota's missing Cook, but Detroit's also going to be missing Swift. They're not going to have their best running back either.
Probably their best player.
Detroit's offensive line, it was like every other play they were holding. I mean, it's like they had no chance, so they just hold. And that doesn't work for moving forward the ball.
No.
So I'm picking Minnesota.
Yeah, and then that running back is Alexander Madison.
Oh, okay, Madison.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
All right, next game is the Phil Simms New York Giants helmet and the Dan Marino Miami Dolphins helmet.
So I saw that Jones, the quarterback for the Giants, might have tweaked his neck at the end of their last game. So he may not be able to go. Probably find out later this week for sure. And I like the role that the Dolphins are on. That team looks good. I think they're on a 5-game winning streak, and they're putting it together after looking like one of the worst teams for the first few weeks of the season. So I will take Miami at home.
I was thinking it was a 4-game winning streak, but they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL. No question about it. Defense is great. They've got no running game whatsoever. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I am also picking Miami. Next game is the Eagles and the New York Jets.
Well, loved what I saw from the Eagles when I picked them last week. That was fun.
Yeah. Boy.
Yeah, that's I think the Eagles had an off week, and there's not a better team to bounce back against than the Jets, other than maybe the Lions. Wilson didn't look bad, the QB from the Jets, and their defense had a fairly good game. But I expect the Eagles to look like the team that I think that they really are. I think that's pretty close to a 500 team, and they should take care of a bottom dweller like the Jets.
Yeah, the Eagles crashed and burned last week. It was not pretty. This is Monte Rager, the receiver. He dropped 2 touchdown passes on that last drive. I mean, they could have scored and won the game.
Did you know that they picked him over Justin Jefferson?
Oh, my.
In the draft. That year, they took him over Jefferson. That's criminal.
Yep. Well, that would have really changed their team.
Yeah.
But they didn't. The Jets, both New York teams won last week. That hasn't happened very often.
No. It's a real rare occasion.
I just see Justin Wilson or Zach Wilson throwing a crunch time turnover.
Oh, yeah.
And Philadelphia winning the game.
He had a good one. Not as good as the Sanchez butt fumble, but he did throw one right off the back of his receiver for a pick.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was great.
Indianapolis at Houston. Indy, I don't have the throwback helmet for them, but I love the ones they wore last week it was the 1950, middle 50s helmet with the 2 horseshoes on the back of the helmet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
A cool helmet.
I got to get me one of those.
That'd be a fun one to have. That being the case, since they are stylistically superior to the Houston Texans, I will take the Colts. Better team, The Texans really came back down to earth. And the Colts, they have a good team. They just had to rely a little bit more on Carson Wentz than they really should be able to. He looked good there for a little while. He was spreading the ball around. That defense, I think they have the best linebacker in the league. He's phenomenal. And they look really good on that side of the ball. And I expect Taylor to have a really good week against a pretty poor Texans defense.
Yeah, they forgot about Taylor for about a quarter and a half there in that last game. But Wentz was on fire in the first half. He had 3 first half touchdown passes. I think Indianapolis will easily beat Houston. Next, we got the Washington football team and Las Vegas Raiders.
So I saw something kind of odd out of the Raiders in that Dallas win. They just really started throwing it up. Derek Carr was just he wasn't worried about coverages or anything. He just seemed to want to just push the ball downfield.
Yeah,
they got a lot of pass interference.
Yeah, first time in a few weeks that they tried to throw the ball downfield since they lost Ruggs.
Yeah, and I think that saves the offense. It even overcame the injury to Waller. I was a little surprised that they were able to have so much success with that. I thought Josh Jacobs looked okay, and I am just getting over the roller coaster ride my Washington football team put me through yesterday. I don't have confidence that Washington will be able to hang enough points on the Raiders to win. So I will take the Raiders here.
I'm also taking the Raiders. I'm worried about the physicality that Washington will bring. I think they're going to be more physical than Las Vegas.
That's a good point.
Heineke's doing pretty well. You know, he's the only undrafted starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's debuting quite well to stay around. But Las Vegas is second in the league in passing yards. And last week they started throwing the ball downfield again. And I'm not real confident in Washington's secondary. I know they had some picks, but Fuller used to play for the Chiefs, and I was never impressed with him when he was with us.
No, he played out of his mind on Monday night. He was great.
Yeah, I'm picking Las Vegas. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Rams.
Jacksonville's not very good. Newsflash, hot take. They're really, really tough to watch play football. And it's unfortunate because those fans, it's such feast or famine, and they only get to feast about every decade or 15 years, it seems like. The Rams, I think Stafford is really banged up. Watching him move is almost as painful as watching Baker move right now. And I don't know that fixes itself. They got a nice big play to Beckham, but definitely didn't have enough. They need to figure out a run game. But LA is a much, much better team than Jacksonville. So I will take the Rams. Yeah,
first of the year, I thought the Rams and Chargers were two of the best teams in the NFL.
Yep.
And that assessment's steadily declining. The Rams just are not very physical. And like you say, Stafford's banged up and they don't have a running game. Now, over in Jacksonville, as we talked about before the show, with the movement in the college coaches in Notre Dame and Oklahoma opening up, some people were throwing around Urban Meyer's name to return to the colleges, but he shot that down and said he wants to build the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's going to. Yep. Yeah. Good luck. He'll be there on the sideline this weekend for Jacksonville. I'm picking the Rams. I think they get well, but they got some issues that they got to fix if they're going to do anything in the playoffs.
Right.
Next game is the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Did you watch the Browns and the Ravens play?
I did.
That was like a mud fight.
It was.
That was like watching kids throw mud at each other. It was bad. They only won because Baker's just too hard to really play. I think that Browns team, they were in Lamar's face the whole game, I will say. They made life very difficult for him. Whoever was blocking Jadeveon Clowney should probably be charged with some sort of, I don't know, assault charge or like aiding and abetting because Clowney almost killed Lamar. Like Baltimore, I think that the Steelers are trending down. I think that Roethlisberger had his last great flash of what he used to be. Take the Ravens here.
Yeah, Baltimore is 8-3. Somehow they find a way to win. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be even close to competing with them. I'm picking Baltimore.
What's your over-under for interceptions in this game?
I know. How do you throw 4 interceptions and still win the game? Like Baltimore did this way.
I think between Roethlisberger and if Lamar Jackson plays the way he played against the Browns, there's going to be like 8 picks in this game.
J.J. Watt's out of this game too with COVID, so that's another problem that Pittsburgh has. If he was playing, that might make me stop and think, but he's not. San Francisco, here's another team that's imploding. Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Seattle's not good. Wilson had one great drive, which is all I guess they really needed against Washington. Just missed on a 2-point conversion, but Washington let them hang around way longer than I expected them to. They're not throwing the ball to DK Metcalf, which makes no sense to me. He had 0 targets through 3 quarters in the last game. There's a huge disconnect between the coaches and the players on Seattle, and the Niners are trending up. They're running the ball great. Debo got hurt, which would concern me against another team, but not Seattle.
Yeah, Debo Samuel is very questionable for this week. He probably is not playing. Seattle beat San Francisco the first meeting, so we're looking at payback. And I think it's always harder if teams are fairly close and one team wins. Next time, it's harder for them to win again. But San Francisco has improved so much since they first played Seattle, and Seattle's going downhill. So I don't think this is a game. I think. Are we in an echo chamber here? We've agreed on every pick.
This is going to be a bad week for us. I have a bad feeling.
All right, next one is Denver Broncos. I thought I had a Denver Bronco throwback on one, but I couldn't find it. And it brought out the Dallas Texans for the Chiefs.
For the Chiefs. Oh, boy. So Broncos, if they can run the ball, it's really going to depend on who gets out in front first. If the Chiefs are really slinging it and they can make this a passing game, I think they easily win. But the Broncos control time of possession. It seems like all the weeks that they win. I will take the Chiefs here. I think that they're pointing up. They look like they might be the team to take in this AFC West.
The Broncos ran the ball really well last week. Melvin Gordon, they've run the ball several weeks pretty well. But the first thing that was on the Chiefs' mind when they played the Cowboys is stopping the run. And they did a pretty good job of stopping the run. Is his name Mark Ingram?
Yes, Mark Ingram is the defensive end. He wears 24. I'm always like, why is a defensive back? And then I look at him and he's gigantic. Have you ever seen a guy wear 24 on the defensive line?
He can wear whatever he wants. He is really helping the Chiefs. And he's allowing Chris Jones to play defensive tackle now, and he needs to stay there. We've been talking about that every week. Mm-hmm. I think the loudest noise I ever heard in my life was I was at a Thanksgiving game with Lori. We were playing Denver, and the Chiefs won the game. It was a low-scoring game. They won it at the very end, and Arrowhead just erupted. I think that's the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. So that's
It's a
going to be
special place.
Yeah, it is a special place, and that will be working against Denver. Andy Reid is, I think, 18 or 19-3 after buys with Eagles and the Chiefs. Now, it wasn't too cool having the extra time before the Super Bowl last year. I don't think he had a good idea for that. Just play faster rather than thinking of ways to protect Mahomes. But they've learned from that, hopefully. And usually he comes back with a good plan after the bye, and I kind of can't wait to see it.
It'll be a good one.
It's division push time, and that's always a very important time in Andy Reid's mind. Getting wins. Oh, we still got one more game with Vegas. Or we have both games with. No, we played Vegas.
No, we played them once.
Yeah, we played them once, but we do have both games with Denver. This one and the last game of the year in Denver. We got one more with the Chargers. Division games are very important to Andy Reid and the Chiefs. I think they come out on top. Last week, I was. Let's see. It wasn't a great week. A lot of tough picks.
No.
I was 10-5. You were 9-6, and Justin really fell down 8-7.
Wow. Hey, I picked up a game.
You picked up
Only
a game.
need 15 more, I think.
I picked up 2 games on Justin, and I won now the third week in a row.
Forgive me. You're coming alive. Late season push right here.
Yeah, I told Justin I was coming about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I got to gloat just a little bit.
Hey. I love it. Now, don't we have the month?
Oh yeah, one more game.
Monday night, right? Yeah.
The game of the week. You're right. Thank you. Oh my goodness. The New England Patriots and Patriot Pat against the Buffalo Bills. The Thurman Thomas Jim Kelly helmet.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, like you said, game of the week. 2 teams that really don't like each other. At home for the Bills, which they haven't been great there. I've been surprised. Haven't they lost 2 at home this year?
I believe so, and they struggle to score points at home a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about the Bills' offense is they have Diggs, and what the Patriots do so well is they take away the thing that the other team's offense does best, and the Bills don't run it. They have a good Josh Allen kind of running game. He kind of props that up. They can find Diggs about 6 or 7 times a game for some pretty big plays. I think they take away Diggs, and I think the Pats stay rolling on this one. I've been so impressed with their defense. It's a tough pick, but I think the matchup is in the Patriots' favor.
If John Wayne played quarterback in the NFL, I think he would play and act like Mac Jones.
You're right. He's got some swagger, doesn't he?
Yeah, Mac Jones is the ideal quarterback for that system in that team. Gottschall and Van Noy played great last week on defense. And they've got a good defensive secondary.
Yes.
So I think they will be able to stand up to Diggs and Buffalo's passing game. I think they'll be more physical than Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I think New England wins
the run game. I think they can run on the Bills.
Way better run game than Buffalo has.
And the Bills can't stop the run.
So how are the Bills going to beat them? I mean, really?
Allen has to have just an out-of-body experience, I think.
And that could happen, but I'm betting on Mac Jones.
There you go. I like it. I think we're going to tie this week, it looks like.
We'll see what Justin's picks are. We might be co-champions.
There you go. I'm excited.
It's going to be sad if Justin picks all the same as we do, which is a possibility. I thought about picking a couple of upsets. I thought maybe Chicago could upset Colt McCoy if McCoy plays for Arizona. Chicago's defense is pretty good. but I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. Thought maybe the Jets might surprise Philadelphia the way they played last week.
Could happen.
It could happen, but I couldn't pull the trigger on that one either.
Yeah. No, those were mine too. I just didn't see a lot of upsets after a lot of upsets in the past few weeks.
Oh my goodness, last 5 weeks have just been surprise after surprise.
Yeah. It's been, I mean, some of them are nice surprises. I like to see a lot of these guys get wins, but man, it's the ebb and flow of this season. We just don't have very many reliable teams. I think you've got Arizona, and it looks like it's going to be the Patriots is going to be the other reliable team.
Yeah, it looks like half the leagues are going to end up 7-8 and 8-7.
Yeah.
Or rather, what is it? They play in 17 games, so it'd be
so 9 it's like 9-7 or
9-8 or 8-9.
Yeah.
That might make the last week easier to pick because it's hard to tell which coach will take that last game seriously or not. But yeah, it looks like as we come down to the end, most everybody's going to be playing for something.
Yeah. So, no, it's going to be a tight race.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you next week.
You too. Thanks again for having me. And it'd be nice to get a tie. Hopefully we take one on Justin this week.
I hope we get one of these weeks like 11-0 or 12-0.
Be great.
Maybe
we're due.
We're due, and maybe this is the week for it.
I hope so.
Bye-bye.
All right. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Okay, bye.